Hi, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Project 2. So I'm here in the course home, but I'm going to go to content. WorkNets, this article by Derek Mueller, Jen Clary Lemon, and me, identifies what a WorkNet is and talks through the process. Writing a WorkNets essay. Before you begin this project, make sure that you've carefully read and understood the WorkNets chapter by Mueller, Clary Lemon, and Pantelides. Next, select an academic article related to your research proposal topic. And there's a number of videos for the MTSU library that walk you through how to find academic articles. And if you have any questions, we also have a chat option for the MTSU library if you're having any difficulty searching for academic articles related to your topic. We also have a number of research guides, and those are curated guides available through the MTSU library that can help direct you to useful resources. Once you've selected your text, read it carefully multiple times. Before you jump in, make sure that this article is actually interesting and engaging, because you're going to spend a lot of time with it. Make sure that it uses sources to make its claims and that it's a peer-reviewed academic article. So these two last pieces are really important. You can turn to the last page of an article to see if it references sources, and there need to be probably at least 5 or 6. And it may be called a bibliography, it may be called a works cited page, it may be called a references page, depending on what citation style the article you've selected is using. To know if it's peer-reviewed, you can find that out by looking at more information about the place that it's from, the journal that it's selected from. And when you do a search in the MTSU Library catalog, you can select that you only want to look at peer-reviewed sources. Next, use the 4 WorkNet phases, semantic, bibliographic, affinity, and choric, to annotate the text. And you'll learn more about each one of those phases as you read the WorkNets chapter, but generally semantic is about keywords, identifying what words are sort of most important in this article. Bibliographic examines the resources, the sources that the author uses to develop the text. Affinity refers to the connections that this text has with other people, with other articles, and where it comes from. And then choric examines how the article is situated in time, what things were happening in the same place at the same time when this article was developed. So you'll use these different phases to annotate the text. Next, develop a spoke and wheel visual that demonstrates relationships and circulation of your chosen text. Again, this mimics what is developed in the WorkNets essay. And then finally, you'll write about what you found during each phase, ultimately writing a consistent, coherent essay that demonstrates your findings. So a lot of the work of this project comes before you actually write about it. It's doing the research about your article, creating the visual. And although you may never write a WorkNets essay again, this process demonstrates what your process should be each time you work with a source. So that's the recommendation here, walking you through how you approach academic sources to really spend time with them, understand them, and engage with them. You may have to shorten this experience for future source work, but remember the depth of knowledge you gained in spending concerted time with this source. Use the same strategies in the future. Your essay should be 5 to 8 pages, typed double-spaced, with regular 1-inch margins. It should include a description of your selected article and where it's from, together. And then you need a discussion of your findings for each WorkNet phase. So again, you might use headings, semantic, bibliographic, affinity, and choric within your essay. You also need a consistent, coherent frame that organizes your findings as an engaging essay. And then you need plans in your conclusion for how your findings will impact the development of your research project. As always, I include a heuristic. Again, these are just questions to get you started, and a rubric that lets you know how I'm going to grade these. So in particular, it needs to have an orienting principle or a focus. It needs to include information about each WorkNet phase, semantic, bibliographic, affinity, and choric. It needs to have a clear organization. It has to include the image or model for WorkNets, and it needs to be attentive to grammar and mechanics. All right, so let me show you a couple more things here. All right, so here's the article, How to Move in and Out of a Text, WorkNets and Invention. And this is going to walk you through the different phases of WorkNets And in particular, the first one, excuse me, is a semantic worknet. So you'll draw with paper and pen, or you can use Google Draw, you can use PowerPoint, you can use Word, you can use lots of fancy software, you can use Adobe, but it doesn't have to be a fancy image. All you do is in the center, draw a circle or square or rectangle like this with the title of the article you're using, the author, and then here's the spoken wheel piece. You create a spoke and the words that seem to be most important for this essay. So primary research is important, research a question is an important one that comes up a lot, research project comes up a lot, ethical considerations, secondary research. And you see these numbers? That notes how many times these words were used in the text. And that's a great way to find out the most used, most important words in the text. You can use lots of different software to count the words in an article. So you can just copy all of the words in an article and throw it into some sort of software. So one that I like to use a lot is called Voyant Tools. And I'm just going to take some of the text here, copy and paste. And then it's going to tell me how many words are in that text, which are used most frequently. It's going to give me a Wordle that shows me how many words were used and how frequently. So words and phrases are used the most in the text I selected. So that's an option for you. Again, you'll go through this first phase, then you add to it with the next phase, the bibliographic worknet, looking at some of the most important sources that are used in the text that you're reading. And then the next one is the affinity. So you can see that we're using different colors to demonstrate different phases of the worknet. And then here's the final one. All right. I do want to go back to one other thing, and that is at the MTSU library. You'll look at the videos that have told you how to search, but I just want to remind you that there's a lot of ways that you can use the library, and in particular are the research guides. So if you want to do something related to accounting research, select accounting, and you can simply go, and they'll give you recommendations for what are the most helpful ways to address accounting research. So they'll recommend particular accounting journals that are useful, and here's another resource that they think is useful. So that's a really nice way to address research across the subjects too. So you can see here there's all kinds of options for more specific research guides. But that final one will be turned in the Dropbox, the Project2 WorkNet Essay Dropbox. Simply add attachments. All right, I know that's a number of things. I hope that that's helpful. All of this is detailed in your calendar, in the table of contents, week by week. And if you have any questions, send me an email. All right, good luck. I look forward to reading Project 2.